time. I have one here. Is there anyone else who would like to ask anything? So we can do. I guess we'll go with Mr. Lesnick first. What do you feel is the best use for Spring Lake Reservoir?
The Spring Lake Reservoir is a great resource here in Yonkers, and people like to look out at its pastoral setting. We had a little controversy a couple of years earlier when I proposed recreational boating on Spring Lake, kayaking, not power boating, because even though it is no longer used as a reservoir, we wouldn't want to put that in. I think that might have had some acceptance if it wasn't tied to the whole grant proposal and the whole Ridge Hill deliberation. The community groups asked me to back off that proposal, and I listened to the community groups, and I started kayaking on the Hudson River instead. So I was pleased to be able to kayak around Manhattan this summer and not on Spring Lake.
Watching Chuck paddle around Spring Lake, I was actually on the Spring Lake golf course at the time, and we made sure that we didn't shank our balls too far to the right. And it was tempting, but I too much. That being said, when he did it, that was actually breaking the ordinance. We're supposed to be out there. That is not a place that has been designated for recreational boating of any kind, with power boats, kayaks, rowboats, what have you, because it has to remain pristine, and it should continue to remain pristine. It is one of the few areas here that we have not tried to make several different uses of. We're not using it as a water source now. Well, maybe we will in the future. So right now, I want to keep that the way it is for my children going forward. Thanks.
Mayor Phil McConey has 2 more years left on his term, and there will be at least 3 new members of the City Council next year. How do you think council-mayoral relations have been, and how do you think council president and city council relations have been, and state your specific improvements if you have any.
When I first got elected city council president, we started regular leadership meetings with the mayor every 2 weeks, right before the rules committee, the council president, the majority leader, and the minority leader. And throughout most of my tenure, those meetings have continued. Sometimes in October before an election, we don't have the meetings for various reasons. But during the other 11 months of the year, I think we have a good bipartisan relationship. I think it's important for the council president to be an independent watchdog to the administration. And we've certainly had administrations where the council president has said black and the mayor has said white, and they argue about everything. That's not been our relationship. But I also don't think it's you can have a rubber stamp, that you can't just approve everything the mayor says. And frankly, I challenge my opponent to tell me where he's different from the mayor, where he would stand up and oppose this mayor, because on issues like the Inspector General, he wanted to get rid of the current Inspector General who's in the middle of a lot of important cases for the Yonkers City Council. On issues like changing the charter so that the Landmarks Board wouldn't have authority as much and that the Planning Board would have more authority. Again, he sided with the mayor when all 7 council members, Democrats and Republicans, took the opposing position. So I think it's important to have a healthy respect as 2 co-equal branches of government, legislature and executive.
While you're there, we have a question from the audience. They'd like to know how you would respond to critics who say that you have not been effective at wrangling votes from the City Council.
Well, it's interesting, this City Council. When I first started on the City Council, I had some of the naive enthusiasm that Jim has here, that I could just sort of go with myself and that people would follow just because the sheer brilliance of my ideas. And I found that sometimes when you go too fast, the council pushes back and it actually winds up slowing things down. So through experience, I discovered that sometimes it's better to actually whisper something in the ear of one of your colleagues and support them while they bring it forward. Sometimes I take a very leading role, and sometimes I take a backseat role, sort of steering and letting some of the protagonists fight it out, and then when we have a settlement, I step in. I think that I have been in the majority 98.9% of the votes we've had in the city council. I can only think of 2 or 3 where I've been in the minority, and one of them was delivered. That was the landmarking of 87 Effingham Avenue, where after I had already worked out a compromise with the developer on how we were going to save it, I just voted yes to say thank you to those people that had brought the landmarks application, because without it, we wouldn't have had that compromise.
Council mayoral relations and council president council relations.
It's not a bad thing to respect and get along with the mayor, but I'm certainly not going to be agreeing with him day by day over the next 2 years of his administration. I haven't from the beginning, contrary to what Mr. Lesnick is saying. Let me clarify a couple of things he said, first of all. With regard to the IG, I did not say that the IG had to be replaced willy-nilly. What I said, and it's in conjunction with what I said regarding the landmarks board, is that the city council needed to bring to a vote what was before them. In other words, look at the candidates the mayor put in, look at the candidates the mayor put into the landmark board. Landmark board candidates died on the vine after several months there because of the inaction of the city council, because of the inability of this city council president to move to a vote, or maybe just the unwillingness. And again, that goes back to cooperation and working constructively with the administration. You need to be able to work in a way that gets solutions. The budget battle this year was ludicrous. It was all about posturing instead of progress. And at the very end of the day, they did a 2% across the board cut instead of a surgical cut that they could have done in conjunction with the mayor's office. And then they slashed the overtime in the police department, which ended up with the kind of incidents that we had even today, close to the courthouse, close to police headquarters in downtown Yonkers. There was a gang-related shooting. Again, it's about working constructively so we can prevent that kind of thing from happening. From my perspective, it's working in a way that gets progress done. It's not about agreeing with somebody lock, stock, and barrel. Yesterday, at the debate on News 12, I talked about being in favor of voting for a school board. I would only do that with certain caps, including property tax caps, in place. That's something the mayor and I vehemently disagree.
Jim. Mr. Castro. For a follow-up, I'm going to weave in 2 questions from the audience. One was, how do we make sure to monitor development to ensure that Yonkers' interests are first? And then there were questions about the Ridge Hill vote and questions about making sure that the real estate taxes are paid and traffic problems were resolved before the project was approved. Your thoughts on both those questions, if you could.
Okay. Do I have about 10 minutes? All right. Monitoring development is extremely important, and there are major gaps. Again, we just had the land disposition agreement signed a week ago, but there are tremendous holes. And you say, for the benefit of the people of Yonkers, let's talk about, for instance, the affordable housing reform. There's a 14% set aside related to the amount of units in the towers that are going to be by the water. It's a 14% set aside. But that can be taken out for under $2 million